Spurs take game one opening round series versus the Blazers. Let's talk about it. Happy Monday. Welcome back to the Spurs In Focus right here on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Pocket Cast, Amazon Podcast. Find us anywhere you get your favorite podcast, and as well, don't forget about the YouTube page, as well as Spurs In Focus Substack, completely free. Yep, you just go hit subscribe. That's it. You're done. It's completely free. My name is Jeff Garcia, your host for today, a longtime Spurs writer based in San Antonio. What are we talking about today? Game one recap, reaction. Spurs got that W over the Blazers. We're going to look at what was the turning point of the game, standout player, standout stats, just overall thoughts on game one. Wow, I can't believe the Spurs are back in the playoffs, and wow, what a way to step on the right foot. No, I was getting a little nervous there. I said, please, Spurs, don't be the first Western Conference team to lose at home. That did not happen, so good thing that didn't happen at all. Yeah, a lot to dive into. Let's go and bring in our guest, everybody, Mr. Rudy Campos of the Sports Answer, rocking the backwards cap, like over the top. If y'all saw that 80s movie with Sylvester Stallone about arm wrestling, Rudy's over the top right now because he probably had that. He probably moved it like this, no thing, and the Spurs got that W. Rudy, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Kind of excited to finally see the Spurs back in the playoffs. I mean, it's been a long time since we said Fiesta and playoffs in one sentence in San Antonio. So pretty exciting game to definitely watch. But I had a question in over the top. Yeah. What was the guy's name? It was the Blaster, wasn't it?
Oh, the guy that won it was Bull Hurley.
Bull Hurley. Okay. Oh, okay. I was like, can't remember who that guy was. It's like Lincoln Hawk was Sylvester Stallone's on that character. So
yeah. You already seen that 80s movie? Go look at it because one, it's cheesy as hell. Two, the montage of the arm wrestling tournament is pretty cool. Like a guy literally drinks gasoline. I'm not kidding. There's like the scene where a guy drinks gasoline.
You remember that movie, The Wiz?
Yes.
So it's actually has a deep tie to Over the Top, if you didn't know.
Because the kid?
Well, the girl that ends up with Fred Savage and, his brother, not his real brother, but the two boys, apparently was the daughter of one of the arm wrestling guys. So he sold his truck to Spanky in that movie. And Spanky, is driving that truck. I think it was Lincoln Hawk's old truck is what it was.
Oh, wow.
So they have that tie. It's deep down. You got to go in like the TikTok to find it, but it's a deep down cover thing. It's pretty cool. When I saw it, like, wow, I never thought about that.
Quick heads up, everybody. That was your nerd segment because we're not
pretty much, we're done.
We're not gonna have a nerd segment on this one. Yeah. So let's dive into it. Again, Spurs get that W at the Frost. By the way, shout out Spurs fans in the attendance. Y'all wore the t-shirts, that pink, blue, and orange. Good job. I was glad to see not one of y'all left.
Even one big guy squeezed into it. If you saw that, I don't know if you saw that. One big guy. I mean, it came up to like a half shirt, but he got into it. And he got into it.
Good for that guy. Spurs again get the W, 111-98, up 1-0 in the opening round series versus the Portland Trail Blazers. Rudy, let's start off with some overall thoughts. And my first overall thought was I like how the Spurs weathered kind of the storm to start the game. Not to say that the Blazers were in control. It was kind of tit for tat, but it was close after 30-21 going into the second period. And even at that, it was still the Spurs barely hanging on, at least by 10 points at halftime, 29-28. That was a scoring in the second period between the two teams. I like the fact that the Spurs didn't buckle. They didn't give up. They just kept on moving forward. They kept on, use a pop term, pounding that rock until they finally broke the Blazers in the second half. I like that they set the tone. They set the pace. They set the standard. They established Victor very early, and he would just dominated them in the paint and the three line, just being a complete menace. Rudy, I love the way they came out. I don't think I saw jitters in them at all. It looked like just another regular season game. And that's what I liked about it.
Yeah, it was just another, like you said, regular season game. This time we finally saw Victor against Portland. Again, this was the first game he's played against Portland all single season. And I mean, he continued his MVP type season performance heading into the playoffs. It was a great performance by him, 35 points. I mean, he already broke the Spurs debut record for being the first game of the playoffs. So the ho humming that we saw in the regular season is just continuing. It got a little scary there. I think they tied the game. Portland did. One point of the game, and Spurs just kind of blew them out after that. Went on a little run. But again, a tested Portland team. That's what we said. It was a scrappy team. Didn't really have a chance to win the game. You knew they weren't going to win, but they just kept it close close until the very end. This is something that the Spurs need to go through. And if you weren't really paying attention much to it, Reggie and Mike Tirico, I think were the two guys calling the game. They both had said, this is playoff basketball. We saw Wemby go down and he got a real bad, fall to the ground. No call was made. And, they said, this is playoff basketball. Welcome to the playoffs. So again, great win for the Spurs. They finally got their feet wet, didn't skip a beat. Everything was in sync. Even Mitch Johnson is in form with that technical foul that he got. So yeah, it was a great overall win by the Spurs.
Absolutely. Even some of the halftime stats. And not only were the Spurs leading by 10 at halftime, they were out rebounding the Blazers 24-17. Key because the Blazers were one of the better rebounding teams in the NBA. So they had that edge at half. Talk about assists. They had just 2 more assists than the Blazers at halftime. They were out shooting the Blazers 50% to 40% at half. Again, that goes back to my point here, how they established themselves early in that opening period and it carried over at halftime headed into the third. More on that later. Their 3-shot was connecting. At halftime, 9 of 18, 50% shooting, while the Blazers were just 25% over what was at half. So there you have it. And you look at just some of the final numbers here. The Spurs, again, going back to that 3-shot, it was definitely falling for them, something we had a little concerned about going into the postseason. Maybe not against the Blazers so much, but nevertheless, 45% shooting for the game from the 3 line to the Blazers' 26%. They were firing all cylinders. And one thing I want to highlight for the game, turnovers. Again, I thought this would be a problem for the Blazers, but actually the Spurs lost the turnover battle 14-11. My point is, nevertheless, they still kept it reasonably low. And I like that from the Spurs. I think it was a great game, Rudy, up until that third period where I thought, oh no, the Spurs are going to spur and let this team back in. That was something I was worried about heading into game 1 or just the series, that the Spurs would give Portland life. It felt like they were going that direction in the third, Rudy.
Yeah, it really did feel like they were going that way. And, a lot of us Spurs fans and people that have covered the Spurs for many years know what a third quarter feels like, a third quarter collapse. And I was right there with you. I thought, man, this cannot be like old school San Antonio basketball where they were collapsing coming after halftime. You and I have talked many, many times when we said, they go into halftime with all the momentum, and then for whatever reason, they come out at halftime and they just lay an egg and they're flat. And that's kind of something what we thought was going to happen in that third quarter when we saw the Blazers fighting back. But nonetheless, it's something that they've done. Everybody talks about, the team being so young, being inexperienced, but what we mentioned before, you and I, Jeff, is the fact that they've kept their composure in moments like that. They've settled down, they've taken timeouts, they've relaxed, they've regrouped, and then they go on another run as if nothing happened. So I thought it was going to be another collapse. I'm glad it wasn't because, kind of what we talked about, one of the things we are going to talk about, that could have been a swing in the way of Portland if they were able to get the lead in that third quarter and then keep it going into the fourth. I will mention that one of our buddies here at the Sports Answer and Spurs In Focus, Derek Irvin, made a statement and said, if Portland wins one game, he's probably going to jump off the Spurs bandwagon because that does not look good for San Antonio. He thinks Portland winning one game could spell a very long series for San Antonio. You see how scrappy they are. It could be a really big time battle if they win one game.
Absolutely. Now we cannot ignore the French elephant in the room. That'd be Victor Wembanyama. Not only did he break Tim Duncan's scoring record as a rookie debut in the postseason with, I believe, at 34 points for the game. This guy was just was just a menace. He was just an absolute menace for the Spurs. Again, sorry, 35. You're right, Rudy. My mistake. Yeah, 35 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist. Connected on 53% of his 2-point shooting. 5 of 6 from deep, Rudy. 5 of 6. 83% from beyond the arc. He had 5 defensive rebounds. He was a +4 for the entire game. Rudy, what can you say? You know, like, first of all, they should have just given him the DPOY, Defensive Player of the Year award tonight or last night. They should have just done that. But the Blazers just don't have an answer for him. Klingon is not it. Grant is not it. Kamara is not it. They just don't have an answer. And the Spurs, they could just pound it in the middle, as we saw. Lobs, alley-oops. He was just, Drew Holiday was on him at one point, and he just scored right over him.
Mm-hmm.
Just Wemby alone puts the Blazers behind the 8 ball.
He does. He really does. And it was, like we said, this was the first time that they played Wemby all season. So kind of shows the difference that he makes, even when the Spurs are tend to struggle a little bit. All he has to do is just get to the basket, get a dunk, and then there you go. It started to open the floodgates again. But you're right, there's really no answer for him. I do expect Thiago to make an adjustment for game 2. Similar to what we saw in the first quarter. Wemby was getting his, but again, Portland was able to just hang around there. You saw Cleveland come out to the 3-point line. He was basically bringing Wemby away from the basket. You saw Denny was able to get to the basket here and there, get a couple of buckets. Guys like, Drew Holiday as well was making it, clean passes to players. So they were getting a lot of points in the paint in that first quarter. But again, I think Thiago's going to make a difference. It would not shock me if we maybe saw Thiago go with a similar, like a Twin Tower-esque type with Klingon and maybe Williams at one point, to kind of counteract Wemby and see if the Spurs maybe have to go Kornet and Wemby in that situation. So some kind of adjustment is made. I think it was more of a feel-out game. Usually game 1s are like that. Teams are getting a feel-out. Coaches are getting a feel for how the other one's coaching. So it's going to be difficult for Portland to stop Wembanyama, but I mean, I did not expect him to have 35 at an opening night. Now looking ahead and do that, I think he possibly could average close to 30 in this series very easily.
Yeah. Do you think the Blazers just concede Wemby and try to shut down everybody else? I think that's the best plan for them, in my opinion. If I was a Blazer guy,
that's tough because if you concede to Wemby, I mean, he kind of can't beat you on his own, similar to what he did tonight. I mean, if you say, okay, well, everybody else can beat us, you have Fox, you have Castle, you have Harper. I mean, Harper only scored, I think, 6 points tonight, but those 6 points were, I mean, perfect opportunity points, and they were at the right time too. Keldon had a really bad game, but at the same time, I mean, he didn't really need to be Keldon Johnson's 6th man of the year candidate either. So I think if you let Wemby, run ragged on you, it's fine, but everybody else around him is still going to contribute somehow. So I think the best thing for Portland to do is make it tough on Wemby, because there are scenarios in the game, in the season, where we saw Fox struggle, we saw Castle struggle. We've seen the guard play struggle for San Antonio, and Wemby's had to bail him out. So maybe you play Wemby straight up the way that you have, make it tough on him, continue to play physical basketball on him, and see if the guards can beat you. I think that would be the strategy to go for the Trailblazers.
Another elephant in the room is the guys about that third quarter coming out of the half, where the Blazers came on kind of strong. They had a kind of a mini run. They cut the Spurs lead into single digits. Again, I'm sitting down and watching this thinking, oh, here, Spurs, you're really going to give them life. You're really going to give them life.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, though, at the third quarter was over, the Spurs did outscore Portland 28-23. They did match them in rebounds at 12 apiece, but you saw the shot kind of not fall for the Spurs, 39% in the third period, 42% for the Blazers. Now, look, I get it. It's a game of runs. Every team is going to have their moment, and that was the Blazers' moment. So I did like how the Spurs, again, didn't get rattled when the Blazers were coming back. I felt Mitch Johnson called timely timeouts.
Yeah.
Just stop the bleeding. You look at just like the little things. They had 4 turnovers in that third period. and the Blazers scored 7 points off that. So the Spurs didn't help themselves at all in that situation there. Overall, you look at that third period, it felt like maybe it was just a half a period where they kind of took their foot off the gas pedal a little bit, and then they just slammed it back on to wrap up the third.
Yeah, and I actually saw a lot of fans criticizing the officials in that third period. A lot of questionable calls, a lot of calls that should maybe not have been on the Spurs. But that's something that can kill momentum too. I mean, referees making calls, are they the right calls? I looked at it back on a few of them. I would say a few of them they were the correct call. I mean, I wouldn't have argued too much on them, but there were some questionable calls as well. I think Castle took a elbow to the face. I don't know if it was the third or the fourth.
Oh, that's what got Mitch Johnson riled up, man.
That's what got him riled up. But it's momentum calls, man. The refs can make them. I saw fans getting on the refs' case about it, at the game, and then over on X, they were kind of going off on that too. But it's a game of momentum. And when the Spurs, like I said, when they have their backs have been up against the wall, they tend to just fight and continue to fight, and then they get the momentum back. And that third quarter, I would say out of the entire game, that third quarter was the quarter that we were kind of worried about, because we've always seen them come out flat in that third quarter. It's a really tough quarter for them to win a lot of times throughout the season. So seeing them, kind of get tested and then just kind of pull and pass that test, you can't say anything better about the Spurs in that quarter.
Yeah, absolutely. And for most of the game until, again, halfway through the third, the Blazers showed that they have fight.
Yeah.
It's there. The Spurs, not only did the Blazers get their feel out game versus the Spurs, it goes the other way too. So the Spurs pretty much learned a big lesson. This team is scrappy. They're going to give you something. Now, shout out to the supporting cast outside of Victor. De'Aaron Fox, 17 points. Steph Castle, 17 points. Luke Kornet, 10 points. Vassell with 15. You had Dylan Harper with 6. Even great shooting overall. I mean, just take Harper, for example. 60% shooting from inside the 3 line. You're looking at De'Aaron Fox, 50% shooting from inside the 3 line. You're getting to that free throw line 15 times, De'Aaron Fox. Castle, perfect from the free throw line, 8 of 8. Everybody doing a little bit of everything to help the team win. Keldon Johnson, he maybe didn't have a great night. He had 3 points, but he did chip in with 7 rebounds. He had an assist. He did, just bring that energy as he always does. Yeah, he was a +2 on the night for the Spurs. So everybody chipped in. Victor seemingly did it all on his own, but he had some really good help, didn't he?
Yeah, he had a lot of good help, especially the guard play. I mean, Harper, like I said, those 6 points may not sound like a lot, but they were key baskets when they needed them the most. So he had a lot of help. His trio of backcourt in the starting lineup with Vassell, Fox, and Castle, they all showed up tonight. Vassell showed up on the defensive side as well. He had some really good defensive plays. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a more balanced starting 5 tonight against Portland. I know Julian kind of struggled, but again, he did knock down 2 3-pointers. And that's what I mentioned too, is that Julian can be that X factor. He can knock down some of those key shots. So overall, supporting cast wise, I mean, you give everybody an A for the supporting cast. And I mean, even Kornet hadn't really been doing very well for San Antonio lately. So he had a really good playoff game today. 10 points. I believe it was 6 rebounds, if I'm not mistaken. So again, and he brings that veteran leadership off the bench. He brings the championship, the experience that he has off the bench. So yeah, overall good play. And you didn't need a whole lot from the reserves today. So that's actually a bonus right there. Game 2, you may actually see a lot of these guys score more. You may see Victor back in the 24-25 range.
Yeah, exactly. Now, observations aside, numbers aside, but we're going to get into a little bit more numbers in a little bit. But one thing that really stood out for me too was this team. I like that they just played as if, like I mentioned in the intro in the beginning, as if it's just another regular season game. That's what it felt like. And that should be a scary thing for the rest of the NBA tournament bracket, West, and if they do go far into the East when they have faced in the finals. This team looks like they're not skipping a beat. They're not afraid of the big stage. That was one thing that I was worried about. Like, is this young team going to succumb to the fans in the multicolored shirts? It's a national TV game. Yeah, national reporters in the post game chat. All eyes are on the Spurs. They were the ending game of the night. Yeah, I thought, oh my God, they're just gonna, maybe get a little too jittery, and they didn't really show. I didn't see, from my point of view, I didn't see any jitters at all. It was just like it was game 50, game 10, game 81, whatever game it was the regular season. That's what they saw. They just stick to what worked, and it worked. That's all you have to do, and that's the thing I like about this team is that yes, they'll probably do some adjustments, but I think they force teams to adjust to them more so than they have to adjust to other teams. Your thoughts?
I agree 100%. And you know what? Give more credit than a lot of people. I would say give more credit to the coaching staff than a lot of other people would. Mention the coaching staff that he's assembled, Sean Sweeney and Corliss Williamson, even a guy like Rashad Lewis. These guys have been there in the trenches and they've been there on playoff runs. I mean, you're talking what Corliss was in the playoffs or with that Sacramento Kings team that was always pretty good. Rashad Lewis with the Sonics and I believe with Orlando as well. Again, Sean Sweeney with the coach of the Dallas Mavericks, the assistant with the Dallas Mavericks. So you got to give them a lot of credit as well because a young team like San Antonio, a 2 seed in the West, I mean, only a few games from being a number 1 seed in the West and overall number 1 seed, you can kind of get, big headed sometimes and think, we got nothing, we're the best team. Yeah. But it seems like you're right. This team just continues to roll, makes other teams adjust to them. Yep. And then when they have to make the adjustments, they've got the right guys on the bench to help them make those adjustments. So you saw right away when Mitch Johnson got that technical foul, you saw Coach Sean Sweeney right next to him, and even he was giving it back at the ref as well. Players love to see that. Players love to see their coaching staff stand up for them. They know they got their back. So I agree with you 100%. Teams are going to have to adjust to San Antonio. They are easily 2 or 3 steps ahead of teams. But before you talk about, the nerves and the media and everything, let's remember this is round 1. It's against Portland. It's not, it's going to be a physical series. It's going to be a little demanding, but it's not going to be one that you shouldn't worry too much about. It's when they get to that next round when they're starting to face either a Minnesota or a Denver.
Yeah.
You got a bigger spotlight on you. There's going to be more national attention. There's going to be a little bit more added pressure. But the biggest thing is you've got 2 teams that have been to the Western Conference Finals, a la the Timberwolves in back-to-back years. And then you have a champion pass from 3 years ago in the Denver Nuggets. So it gets a lot harder after this. But for right now, it's just best to enjoy this ride right now.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be a prisoner of the moment. It is just one game.
Yeah.
As Rudy mentioned, and I think you all know, I mean, it's obvious, Splitter and crew, they're going to make their adjustments. So we'll see what they present in game 2, which is on Tuesday in San Antonio. So I'm still sticking to 5 games. I do think the Blazers probably get one in Portland.
Game
but
4.
I would not be surprised if the Spurs kind of just take care of business 4 out because at least after one game, Portland can't match that roster, man. They can't match that San Antonio roster. They can't.
I'll say this. Portland shot, I believe, 34% from 3-point range in the season. Now, tonight's game or last night's game, they only shot, I think it was 26%. So they didn't shoot the ball very well. And again, I mean, they're not a great 3-point shooting team, but if they shoot 34%, they're probably making maybe 3 or 4 more shots. I mean, now you're looking at a 110, 111 game, 109, 111 game. So it's a lot closer than it should have been. And again, the Spurs, I believe, shot 45% for 3-point range. So right above their average, maybe a little bit more. So again, there's little things here and there that, if Portland shoots a little bit better from beyond the arc, the game's a lot closer. But don't take anything away from the 111-98 victory by the Spurs. They were in control the entire game, but it was a lot closer than most fans wanted to see it at the point of the game.
I was a little surprised it was a 10-point lead for the Spurs at half. I was a little bit surprised. Yeah, but Russell, Rudy, don't forget you owe me on a bet, by the way. I'll collect my figure.
I have it right here. The rare Gyoku from Demon Slayer.
We are talking with Mr. Rudy Campos of the Sports Answer, giving a reaction to yesterday's Game 1 victory by your San Antonio Spurs, 111-98, up 1-0 in the series versus the Blazers.
This is Optimus Prime. I urge you to subscribe to Spurs In Focus. The fate of the world is at stake.
All right, Rudy, we kind of gave our overall thoughts, what we like, what we didn't like. There's a lot more likes than dislikes, at least in one game. But in your opinion, Rudy, what do you think the turning point was for your San Antonio Spurs?
So, okay, so turning point for me was this. I would say, a minimal turning point was the start. Like getting off to a 9-point lead and then building it up to 10, building it up to 15 after the third quarter. That was the turning point, was that first quarter for me. They came out strong. I thought Portland was going to come out fresh off of that victory that they got from the play-in to play San Antonio over Phoenix. I thought they were going to come in, maybe dominate that first quarter. And it looked like they were going to stick right with them, maybe get that 1-point lead at the end of one. But no, the Spurs came back out. I mean, they ended up shooting 30-21 after quarter one. But the biggest turning point for me, it was that third quarter. I mean, you saw Portland get close to San Antonio. And then once they cut the deficit to 2 points, Jeff, the Spurs went on a dominant run right after that. That was the turning point for me. The third quarter is always that quarter that just tends to get under San Antonio's skin. They come out of the locker room flat. You almost saw it happen against Portland last night, but they put the brakes on that Portland run and they went on a run of their own. They started to make their threes. Victor took over again in that third quarter. So again, you saw Fox, you saw Stephon Castle. Everybody stepped up in that third quarter to ensure the Spurs would have a victory throughout the entire rest of the game.
I'm with you. My turning point was that third period. The Spurs went on a plus 13 run on the Portland Trail Blazers. It was at 1 point Spurs 61-59 in the third. That's how close it was in that third period. But they just busted it open with a plus 13 run, 87-72 during the third period, and then to close the third period. In that run, Rudy, Stephon Castle, 6 points on 6 of 6 free throw shooting. So kudos to him. He also dished out 3 assists. He had 3 rebounds. Devin Vassell in that third period run that pretty much iced the game, 8 points, 2 blocks, and again, 2 for 2 from the 3 line as well. The Spurs, they converted on 4 of 5 3 shots in that run, while the Blazers went 1 of 7 from deep during that run. He also had 3 turnovers. So yeah, that definitely was the turning point for the Spurs. Third period run, put the game away, out of reach for the Blazers. Good luck next time, Blazers. Hey, Rudy, let me ask you this question. What is your standout stat? Rudy, take it away. What stat really made your eyes pop?
That's a good one. I mean, I could easily go with Wemby scoring 35.
That's a little too easy.
That's a little too easy. Player wise, I mean, I would go Deni Avdija finishing the game with 30 points. I mean, we kind of talked about the fact that, hey, Deni averaged 31.6 against the Spurs without Victor in the lineup. Well, with Victor in the lineup, he still got to the 30 points. I mean, he's a player that I was sitting there on the couch and I was talking to my wife. I said, he would look good in silver and black, wouldn't he?
Rudy started really that chant already. Here we go.
Man, he was an amazing player. But again, I mean, Jeff, he almost had a triple-double. He was 5 assists away from a triple-double. Yeah. He had 10 rebounds. And that was the stat that I think stood out for me. I figured Deni would come down a little bit off the mountain, knowing that Victor was playing, but he attacked the basket. He still did really, really well. So my standout stat was him scoring 30 points when I figured he'd be in that 23, 24 range. It'd be a little bit more difficult. But also the fact that I'm gonna let you take the Spurs on this one. But for me, the Blazers only shooting 26% from 3-point range. Yeah, they're a better shooting team than that. They just weren't knocking them down. But hey, it's fine. They didn't knock them down. Spurs got the win. and they got it handily. So, yeah, those are my stats.
Yeah, for my standout stats, I'm going to go 3-point shooting for your San Antonio Spurs. Ultimately, 15 for 33 from beyond the arc, 46% shooting. Again, that was one of my concerns. Will that 3-point shot be an issue heading into the postseason? At least for one game. I get it was just one game. It was not whatsoever. My second standout stat, this is crazy. Time leading. The Spurs led for 44 minutes and 45 seconds. Guess how long the Blazers led, everybody? Rudy? 1 minute and 40 seconds. That is complete domination for your San Antonio Spurs. Yeah, it was just that one first quarter. The Spurs dominated, the time leading. That just tells me, again, it reflects back on what I said earlier, was I think this Blazers team cannot match this roster. They cannot. Sure, yes, Denny did have 30 points. Yeah, give him that. But he was a minus 12 for the game. So is he really helping out the team? And you look at him, and again, what did I say pregame in the roundtable with myself and you and Espinosa there out in Corpus Christi? Besides Denny, who do you got? They got nobody else. Robert Williams was your second leading scorer for your Blazers with 11 points. And one of your top leading scorers with 11 points. Scoot Henderson, 18 points. But that's it. That's it. Shaden Sharp, sure, he had 10 points, but 30% shooting from the field for him. The Blazers, again, I just don't think they have the horses to contend with the Spurs whatsoever.
They don't. I'm not. I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for this because he's standing over Portland. I'm not standing over Portland, but I mean, you really
were saying that about you in the comments.
They really were. I'm like, I'm so neutral. I didn't even. It's weird, but I mean, you don't really see Drew Holiday struggle like that a little bit, like he did last night. 1 of 7 from 3-point range. I mean, he was 4 or 5 from the field overall, but I mean, the team struggled, and it's it's okay. Like I said, the Spurs got the win. Portland did come out pretty strong, but they ended up the game pretty flat. But think about this, even as flat as they were, they still made runs here and there. So again, a lot needs to be worked on. A lot needs to be fixed for San Antonio. They don't have to change much. They don't have to make any major adjustments. But again, they were flat. They kind of, think about it. They won the fourth quarter against San Antonio 26-24. I mean, they ended up outscoring the Spurs in that fourth quarter. So, I mean, they came out scrappy like we kind of said they would, but you're right. There wasn't really a second guy. It was Scoot Henderson and Denny tonight. Normally you get a guy like Jeremy Grant, maybe Drew Holiday always contributes as well. So again, maybe the adjustment was to allow Denny to get his and make everybody else work. Mm-hmm. If that's the case, and that was the game plan,
works. Yeah.
Continue. Yeah. Make it happen, because you're not going to get big games by Kamara, Matisse Thybulle. You're not going to get big games out of those guys. Klingon is really hit or miss. Mm-hmm. So maybe that was the key, but again, it's game one. It's one game. I mean, I don't expect them to come out in game two and blow the Spurs out or anything like this. I think it's still going to be another San Antonio win.
I mean, look at Jeremy Grant for your Blazers. Minus 25 on the night, 5 points in 19 minutes. Again, a guy who's a proven commodity in the NBA, mm-hmm. Out there for the Blazers. And I get it. He's just coming back, being away for a while, but still, you needed him to step up. He did not. All right, Rudy, and no, for this final segment, you can't pick Victor Wembanyama. That's just easy. All right. Let's see who Rudy's going to pick. Rudy, go ahead. Who's your standout player for the Spurs? Can't be Victor. That's too easy.
Standout player for me is going to be Devin Vassell. I mean, we talked about him, and I'm one of the guys that said Devin Vassell, he might have already hit his ceiling. That was under Coach Pop. Under Coach Mitch, he's actually broken through that ceiling barrier and is starting to continue to rise even more, both on the offensive side and the defensive side. One of the better two-way players on the Spurs roster, one of the more underrated two-way players on the Spurs roster, showed tonight, that he can still be a force on the defense side. 2 blocks on the night. He scores 15 points, was 4 of 9 from 3-point range. I mean, overall, he pretty much was a stat stuffer tonight. The only donut he had was steals. But again, first playoff appearance for Devin, and he showed out. You could tell he was excited for it, and he's going to be my standout player of the night. Hopefully you get another 15, 16 points from him in every single game from here on out. If that's the case, it's going to be tough for anybody to beat the Spurs as long as he and everybody else is on. They're tough.
I like the fact his 3-shot was falling. To me, that
Mhm.
was huge. That was huge. Just a great game from Vassell, again, being a great supporting cast member for Victor Wembanyama. For me, I'm going to go with this guy. I'm going to go with Luke Kornet. And
Yeah.
what he did while Victor was out, steadying that paint, still being a presence for the Spurs, despite not having number one on the floor. He finished with 10 points, 6 rebounds. He had an assist, shot 5 for 6 from the field, 83% shooting. Just really good work. He had a standing ovation from the fans. Victor applauded him when he exited the game, at least for that moment, to let Victor come back in. 2 offensive rebounds. He had a steal. He was a +9 on the night, and 6 second chance points opportunities he scored on for the game. Yeah, 4 defensive rebounds and no turnovers whatsoever. So I love what he did in the paint. I love that he was a presence. He was just everything the Spurs needed in a backup big. That was it. That was why you spent the money on him. That is why you chased him. For moments like this, Victor is out, getting a breather, and it was an extended break for Victor. It was a point, Rudy, I was saying, you don't need to put Victor in, man. Just let Kornet cook. He's fine right now. Save Victor for game 2. But nevertheless, for me, he stood out for me just for what he did while Victor was out. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Kornet, I mean, he only played, I believe it was 13 minutes, 14 minutes, I believe, tonight, or I mean, last night. So, yeah, he was able to keep the ship floating, and Victor was able to get rest. And again, that's something you're going to expect from Luke Kornet. I mean, he's got a title under his belt with Boston. He's got the experience. He brought him in for this reason. That's another reason why I say you keep him in an expansion draft, even though you don't want to. You've got to keep him. You've got to keep a guy like Kornet. Yeah, you can always say you can go get another big man. You're right. You can always go get another big man. But what big man works well with the team currently other than Victor? I mean, it's Luke Kornet. You can't get a more quality big guy than Luke Kornet in the league right now. So I think that we're going to see Luke probably continue to get that 15, 16 minutes a game. Seeing Victor play over 30 minutes, this game, when he went down with that hit, when he hit the floor pretty hard and he came out, I thought he was pretty much done for the night. And the reason why was because when he was out, Kornet still was able to do damage. And that was where I was like, I don't know why Mitch is bringing him back in. He should probably just leave him out for the rest of the game because Kornet seems to got it going tonight. Portland can't even get an answer for Luke Kornet. So, that he's going to continue to tribute. But again, were you surprised that all the starters were 30 plus minutes tonight?
No. I think I like the fact they got 30 plus minutes because I think they needed to get that. Well, if they did have jitters and just get it off them. I like the fact that those playing those minutes left no doubt on the court that they mean business. They're going to take care of this Blazers team in game 1. So I was fine with that. I just hope it doesn't go beyond 5 games because they're still playing 30 minutes after 5 games. That's the problem.
Do you think it had anything to do with the fact that they bench only scored 21 points last night? I mean, Keldon with 3, I think Kornet and Harper 6. Carter Bryant got about 4 or 5 minutes. He didn't score at all. Harrison Barnes only had 2 points. I mean, it just seemed like the bench didn't play as well as we're used to seeing the bench play, especially late in the regular season. Do you think maybe Mitch felt like maybe he was from a lot of his bench guys that he normally would?
You know what? I see what you're saying. I get it, but you're still getting 6 from the champ. I mean, sorry, you're still getting Harper with 6 and 4 rebounds and 2 assists, plus 18. I mean, that's pretty good production off the bench. As you mentioned, Keldon off shooting night, but Harrison Barnes, he had been playing kind of iffy to wrap up the season. I was a little surprised Carter Bryant didn't do too much more damage. I thought he was going to have a pretty good game. Maybe it's in game 2. We shall see. But I mean, Kornet and Harper alone, they took care of business. And I also think too, Victor was just on one. He was just on one.
Okay.
And it was enough to carry the win. I mean, he meant 35 points. But we're not ignoring his efforts. Yeah, I mean, without his efforts, they don't get the W. We know that. But at this point, 35 points, 5 rebounds, and assist, +4, hitting threes. That's just common now for him. That should be the standard for him.
Mhm.
That in the playoffs, he set the standard high now. After game 1, the standards are high from him. So I want to see if he's going to do this again. I have no doubt he will, but not ignoring his efforts. A tremendous effort, obviously the MVP of game 1. But are we ignoring De'Aaron Fox? You think De'Aaron Fox deserves a pat in the back? I mean, go ahead, take it away.
Yeah, I'm not ignoring him. I mean, he had 17 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds, if I'm not mistaken. De'Aaron's got playoff experience. I know he with Sacramento. I mean, there's a reason why he was voted as one of the clutch players, one of the fourth quarter clutch players, in the league. And again, for everybody that was crying about paying him $60 million and maxing him out, I mean, this is the reason why you maxed him out. He works well with Victor. He can make key shots, and I get it. He had struggles against Denver. He has struggles against a couple of other teams. You put the blame on De'Aaron Fox. Okay, well, that's regular season. They were pretty much in control of the regular season, especially towards the end of the season. They were in control of the regular season. So coming into the playoffs, De'Aaron showed why he's a max player. I mean, he didn't shoot lights out. I think he shot just under 50% from the field. So it wasn't, a horrible shooting night. It wasn't a great shooting night. It was just, it was just another De'Aaron Fox type of night. 17 points, made the key pass when he had to make it. Was able to get a steal. He played like the point guard you want playing next to Victor. And there's no reason not to give him any love. He's going to continue to play very well. He loves playing against Portland. So I expect him to have at least a 30 piece in one of these games coming out. So we're not going to forget about him. We're not neglecting his performance out there. I just don't think, we need to talk about De'Aaron because he's doing De'Aaron Fox things, and it's kind of expected of him.
Do you think this game all but shows that maybe there will be a sweep after all?
You're looking at the game. Yes, but it's going back to Portland. It's a whole different environment. It's there between regular season Portland and playoff Portland crowd. I mean, sometimes you got to see how they are in the, in another team's arena, especially in the playoffs. Keep in mind too that refs call it differently in the playoffs, especially on their home court. So you may see a game, an official, maybe a crew may give Portland the benefit of the calls, and it happens like that. It always happens like that. And the possibilities of a sweep are there. I think after seeing them tonight, it is there. But this is where I look at it. If we're 3 games, you said 5. If we're 3 games in and the starters are still playing 30 plus minutes, I think we're going to have a little bit of an issue, because then you're going to almost have to guarantee a sweep if they're still playing some
rest.
Because if you're going 30 minutes and you're still game 5, you're going to have like Minnesota or Denver waiting in the background there. A few days of rest, maybe a week's rest after playing, 30 plus minutes a game. That's pretty tough. And remember, it's the travel, man. I mean, playoffs in the first round, you're traveling really, really quick, and you're getting a lot of these games in pretty fast. So it's going to be fatigue. So hopefully they get it done in 4, and hopefully they can get some rest pretty quick.
What's benefiting the Spurs in that point you're bringing up about the minutes played is that there is a big gap after game 2. They won't play again until like Friday, I believe.
Yeah, so, because then their game 4 is on Sunday, and then I think Friday.
Yeah. So Mitch wants to play that card. Let's get these guys some minutes in game 1 and game 2, because we're gonna have a long break in between. And there's that, so factor that in. But again, Spurs get that W last night, 111-98, up 1-0 in their opening round series versus the Portland Trailblazers. Hey, look, we've been talking this whole time. What about you? What do you think about the game? Easy peasy for the Spurs the next 3 games, do you think? Who was your standout player? What about the stats that you liked? What was the turning point for you? What are your overall thoughts? Let Rudy know on X at The Sports Answer, myself at Jeff G. Spurs Zone on X. Rudy, As y'all heard, we're not going to have a nerd segment. We're just trying to keep this about the game for today, excuse me. But tell us what's going on with the answer.
Yeah, so be sure to go to YouTube, search Answer Now TV, hit that subscribe button. You get the Sports Answer every single Sunday. Myself and Derek Gervin have the Sports Answer Friday Drive, which is on Fridays after about 5:15 when we go live. Normally we go live for about an hour and a half for some show at the radio station. Also, you can catch Spurs in Focus, Jeff's show, on the Answer Now TV as well. So our network is growing. You can catch a lot of the sports shows. You can also get at me at the Sports Answer on X. I will say, Jeff, on yesterday's episode of the Sports Answer, I went after my haters on my comment about the 65 game rule. So that was posted. on the TikTok for the Sports Answer as well. So again, I like to interact with fans. I even had a fan come at me late last night. So yeah, I interact with them. We're good friends, and we ho hum and sing Kumbaya all day with each other. But
sure you do.
Yeah.
Sure you do.
But yeah, that's
Rudy.
Answer Now TV.
Rudy, I'll collect my prize at a later date. All right.
It's gonna be here waiting. And
maybe one more time. Let me see one more time.
So
see what's coming my way.
It's one of those keychains, but it's Gyoko from Demon Slayer, and it's a rare one. It's rare.
Take it. I'll take it.
It's rare. I would the extra rare one, but I can't because this is my favorite character from Demon Slayer. It's Hatang. So Hakatan. I mean, he's my favorite. I can't ever give that one away.
As General Grievous would say, a fine addition to my collection. So I cannot wait to add that to my collection. He is Mr. Rudy Campos of the Sports Answer. Follow him on X at the Sports Answer, and I'm pretty sure you'll see Rudy again this week right here on Spurs in Focus. Rudy, thank you so much for your time. Everybody else, thank y'all for making Spurs in Focus your first and only spot for all things San Antonio Spurs. Don't go anywhere else. Yeah, ignore everybody. Yeah, ignore all those other shows. You want to come here first and only, your first listen, your first watch every single day right here at Spurs in Focus. Be sure to follow us on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Podcasts, what else you got? Pocket Cast, YouTube Music. And don't forget the Substack, Spurs in Focus Substack, completely free. Go sign up right now. You just hit subscribe and you're in. That's it. You have to pay anything. It's 100% free. Go check it out right now. We'll be back tomorrow to look ahead at Game 2. So for Mr. Rudy Campos, I am Jeff Garcia. Now you're in focus with Spurs in Focus.